Welcome to Avalon State of the Arts, where we explore different components and dimensions of our school, Avalon School of the Arts, and its music counterpart, the Avalon Music Academy of Holland.
We're your hosts, Rich and Marie, and we look forward to sharing interesting topics about our school in a fun, easy-to-listen-to format.
Because my mom, who founded our school, taught me, if you're not having fun with this, then you're not doing it right. Hello, Avalonians. I hope that everyone is having a fantastic week. It sure has been an exciting one here at the studio. So I'm going to get into some Avalon news first, and then we'll get off and rolling into our segment for today. As many of you know, last week was Teacher Appreciation Week. So, of course, we do love our teachers here at Avalon. Thanks to all of the students and families who participated in our Teacher Appreciation Project. And if you haven't had a chance to, just check your email. It's got all of the details in there on how you can celebrate our teachers because they're just amazing. Also, I should put kind of like a side note on this too and say it should be Office Appreciation Week coming up, and maybe we'll have that be a special Avalon thing because we do love our Avalon office managers, Miss Amy and Miss Joan, and of course the others, Miss Brienne and Miss Julia as well. So maybe Office Appreciation Week, I'll send out details on that in the coming weeks. As of course, I'm sure all of you know, due to the crazy traffic around here last week, it was our Tulip Time celebration. And oh my gosh, we had such a great parade. It was so much fun. So for those of you who are from around Holland, it celebrates our Dutch heritage, and it's all about tulips. Tulips are the indigenous flower here. Actually, I don't know if they're indigenous, but we plant them, and literally there are millions of them around the downtown and surrounding area of Holland. So on the last Saturday of the festival, there's a parade, and our Avalon Dance Ensemble marches in it. And for the last couple of years, we've been providing live music. So this year was so much fun, because Mr. John, who teaches piano with us, he has this contraption that's, it was invented in the 80s. It's called a keytar. And so he played keytar along with, I played guitar and sang, and we did Tiptoe Through the Tulips while our dance ensemble danced. And then in front of them was our acrobatics people who were doing like tumbling and all that kind of stuff too. So everybody loved us at the parade. It was so much fun. And we got some great video footage. So I'm going to be compiling that and condensing it down into our music video for Tiptoe Through the Tulips. And I'll make sure to be posting that on social media as well as our newsletters, and you can check it out. All right, so as far as today's presentation, we have a special guest. Miss Marie is actually off this week. She is really working hard at the preparations for the dance recital. So we have one of our students, Zoey, and one of the questions I get asked a lot is what happens in your first music lesson? So I thought it would be a fun example to have Zoey in, and she does like voice and theater with us, but she's never done a ukulele lesson. So I'm going to give you an example of what happens in that first ukulele lesson and how much fun we have in all of our music lessons here at the school. So here's some first ukulele experiences. Okay, I am super excited about this next segment because I have a special guest star with us today. This is Zoey, and Zoey is an Avalon superstar. Zoey, introduce yourself. Say what kind of stuff do you do here at Avalon?
Hello, I'm Zoey. I do theater, and then I also do voice lessons with Mr. Jack.
Oh, that's right. Yes, exactly. So you have the musical background in the theater. And so the reason why I wanted to invite Zoey in for this segment is Zoey has an amazing personality. She's always bubbly and she's positive, and we're going to have just the most fun with this. Mm-hmm. So people often ask me, what happens in a first lesson? Okay? And so I thought it would be kind of fun to choose the ukulele as instrument because it's a fun instrument. And so I'm going to take you through what we generally do in a first lesson, okay? And we're going to have a fun time doing it. So first thing we do is we look at the ukulele and we got to get some terms down, okay?
Okay.
So for those of you listening, what we're doing is we're holding the ukulele
Oh my.
by the neck, okay? And so the reason why I'm doing that is because the main parts, this thing here with the tuners on it, this is called the headstock, okay? And then you have this guy down here, that's the neck, and this is the body, all right?
Okay.
So that kind of makes sense,
Yeah.
right? Head, neck, you got to think like giraffe neck, right? And then there's the body. And each one of them has kind of like their function on the ukulele. So then you can see that the body has that kind of like curve there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also too, I did a segment a couple weeks ago that had like my instrument recommendations, and that ukulele is the one I really like. It's by this company called Luna.
Yep.
Okay, it's a Luna ukulele. It's a concert ukulele, and it's got that cool design on it, right? That looks kind of
Yeah.
tribal. The thing I like about this is that it's really solidly built. You know, you can tell it's like, it's not going anywhere. It's a good piece of wood, if you will. And then also too, these things here on the side, these tuners are really super important because, you know, the ukulele, the scale of it is much shorter than, say, a guitar, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, if it goes out of tune, it goes out of tune more than a guitar would. Just because the pitches are closer together, right? And that can be frustrating for students who just begin because it's like it doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
And you don't know why, right? Because you don't know anything about the instrument. So tuners are a super important thing. And you can get these things, either at a local music store or online for about $89. So it's not a crazy
Not that
expenditure. Yeah, so like for a first instrument, it's pretty reasonable, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then these tuners here. Well, what those tuners do is and we already got that thing tuned up, so we're not going to turn them. But what you would do then is when you turn this thing here, what it does is it wraps the string around the tuner more, so it makes the pitch go up.
Yes.
Okay, and then if you were to tune it towards you, then it releases that, so it makes the pitch go down.
Okay.
All right, so
That's
it's basic.
simple.
Yeah, exactly. It is. And since we're talking about this too, I did a ukulele camp a few summers back, and one of the things that the kids did was they figured out a funny acronym for the names of the open strings. You ready?
Yes.
All right. It's good cats eat asparagus. Because the names of the strings are G, C, E, and A. So if you just remember,
I had to do that for music to remember, like for piano, and we did like every good boy eats fudge.
you're darn close there. Deserves fudge.
Oh, deserves.
Yeah, exactly. And then the thing about that is, I've done that one too, right? That, you know, we don't want to leave girls out of that.
Yeah.
So you can also do every girl better deserve fudge.
They better.
Yeah, they better if they know it's good for them. So moving right along, this thing right here, this white thing, that's called the nut. And what that does, that's right next to the headstock there, is that stops the strings from ringing. So you have like this functional part of the ukulele, and then you just have this part up here that, you know, it's cool. You just don't use it for much. So now moving down the neck, there's these little like bars, right?
Yes.
Those little bars that go across, those are called frets, okay?
Okay.
But don't fret. The way that then you make different pitches with the ukulele is that if you put your finger behind one of those frets, right, then it pushes down right here and it bonds with that fret. So therefore it makes the string shorter and the pitch is higher. All right? And that's how the ukulele works kind of, you know, in a very simplified fashion,
Yeah.
is you put your finger behind and then it makes the string shorter and the pitch higher. Now you'll see you got those little, in this case we got triangles right there
Yeah.
on the neck, right? Those are just placeholders. And if you look at the side like this, see how there are those dots
Yeah.
on the side, right? So those dots are just kind of like giving you a shortcut. So if you wanted to play something on, say, the 5th fret, rather than have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you could just say, oh, it's that dot. And then you could put your finger there and then you got it, all right?
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on down the line here, we'll talk about this.
The body of the ukulele. Yeah. So the ukulele and a lot of stringed instruments like this, they produce sound in two different ways. And the first one's kind of easy to understand. You can see when you like play a string like that, the sound goes in that hole and it kind of rummages around and it comes out louder. So it amplifies things, right? But then there's also this board on the top. And that board on the top is called the soundboard. And that's an important one too, because people discovered that if you stretch strings over a board like that, it amplifies it.
Ooh.
So those are the two main ways the ukulele makes sound. Now, this guy down here, this is the bridge, and that's the other part where the strings hook up, right? So you'll notice that the strings of the ukulele are kind of soft, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're nylon. And when you're first starting out, especially with young students, the ukulele is a good choice because those nylon strings are easier on the fingers than, say, that guitar over there has steel strings,
Oh,
right?
yeah, that makes more sense.
So therefore, like if you're 5 or 6 years old, you go back in your memory banks. It's not too much fun to hold down those steel strings. It can be kind of uncomfortable. So therefore, for littler students, the ukulele is a good starting instrument. And it transfers really well into the guitar. Okay, so we're going to take this thing here.
Okay.
Go around like that. And then this little curvature part, that can just rest there right on your leg, okay?
Okay.
Now, you mentioned these earlier.
Yes.
Right? The official Avalon picks.
Yes.
Okay. So I had these made special for the school. And
Wow.
they have a couple custom things. All right?
Okay.
First off, you notice on the back there, there's like that little stamp, right?
Yeah.
That's where your thumb goes.
Oh.
Okay?
It looks
And
like a checkerboard.
yeah, exactly. Yep, it makes it kind of like a gripper type thing, right? And then here, your first finger goes over the top. So basically the pick is like an extension of your first fingernail. Yep, yeah. And now that's the first customization. The other one, it's too bright in here to see this, but you're going to have to trust me.
Does it glow in the dark?
Yeah, I'll give you some picks to take home. These glow in the dark.
Wow.
Yeah. And so therefore, if you drop one, then you just turn the lights off.
Wow.
And then you can find it, right? Yeah,
What
so,
if you like your dog swallows it?
well, you want to try to avoid that at all costs, all right? That can be a rough day.
My dog swallows socks whole. They always come back.
Socks?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, just keep your picks away from the dog. All right?
Yep.
I had a student one time who said that these were his storm picks. So that way, if his house lost power, he could still practice. and I said, hey.
Not use it for light, just to practice?
Yeah, I said, if you're practicing when the power goes off, you're bringing a tear to my eye. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things about the ukulele then, we'll get into doing some playing now. We're going to number your fingers, and we don't use our thumb because our thumb is kind of like on the back, and it's like kind of like the back of a vice where you press in with your thumb, so that way when you press down with the tips of your fingers, it's easier to do, right? So this is your first finger, second finger, third finger, fourth finger. So your first is your index, middle, second, 3, and 4. And when you start playing, the general rule, and I think since you take voice, you know this already, that with music, it's usually more like guidelines.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
every rule is broken at some point. But your finger number is going to be the same thing as your fret number. So if you start with your first finger, I'm going to place you right there, okay, and play that one note. Yes. There you go. Now, let's try that and then play all 4 of the strings. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, with that pick, you got 2 options, right? We got a down pick and we got an up pick. We start with down picks because down picks, you know, like are easier, gravity. and then as you move on, we get into strum patterns where you can go. Yeah, exactly. So that chord that you just played with your first finger there, it's a bluesy sounding chord. That's called a C7. Right? And then, of course, we get into, well, what does the 7 mean and yada, yada, yada. But let's keep on going and let's get you some fun chords to play. Now, we use a whole bunch of different books. I chose this Essential Elements 1 for ukulele for you, since you have a musical background already, But for younger students, we have a more basic book series that we use. This one starts us off with some chords right away. And the two that you get, this is called a chord chart here, okay? And so a chord chart basically is like if you were holding the ukulele like this, okay? So then you see how there's a 3 there on that string, right?
Is that where my finger 3 goes?
Yes, exactly. That's your 3rd finger, and it's going to be right there on the 3rd fret, right?
Yes.
And all these zeros right here, that just means that you're playing all 4 of the strings. You got yourself a C chord there, Zoey.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of myself.
It sounds great. That's a pretty good C chord. Best C chord I've heard today.
Today.
Yeah, I hear a lot of C chords. All right, now the other one here is this G7. Without getting too far into it, basically when you see a number behind a chord, it means there's a note that far away from what's called the root of the chord. So in this C chord, C is the root. All right, so it's kind of like everything springs forth from the root of the tree. It's the base of the chord. So this chord is going to sound, once again, like the C7 we played. It's going to sound kind of bluesy because of the way this note right here, that happens to be an F note right there, and it's 7 notes away from G. So you're going to hear this kind of like wah, 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 Broadway.
Wah, 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 wah.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to hear this Broadway. Here's what it looks like with your first finger right there, and your second finger there, and then your 3rd finger is going to be right there.
Ooh.
Okay, so a lot of people refer to this as the triangle chord because it looks like your fingers are in the shape of a triangle. Let's take your thumb. It's going to be the secret weapon on the back there, and it's going to press in while these guys press down there, 1st fret, there, and then right there, exactly. So you're on the 2nd fret there, and you're going to play all 4 of those strings. Exactly. You hear that Broadway I was talking about, right? Yeah. So 7th chords are used a lot in show tunes, in blues music, and essentially here, what it is it's going to provide a really strong resolution back to the C chord. And you can see when you look at the 2 diagrams of it, see how if we were to go from G7 back to C, this guy here just goes back 1 like that, right, to an open string. And this guy here goes up 1 like that, all right? It's like the end. So, this chord is called the dominant chord. And the dominant chord, G7, its job is to resolve to the C chord. So the reason they start you out with these 2 is that you can actually play some pretty cool songs just with those 2 chords.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, here in this strumming exercise, each one of these slashes means a strum.
Okay.
So for now, this would just sound like... So start off with the C there, just like that. Yep, exactly. And we'll do 4 of those. Now, to get to the G7, you're going to use this technique that's called a guide finger. And what a guide finger is that 3rd fret is going to go shink like that. You can make that noise if you want.
Shout. Shout.
And then what it does is it guides you to the G7 like that. Yep. Both of those chords are sounding great.
Thanks.
You're a natural.
Now.
Yeah. Now we just got to get you a couple more chords, and then you'll be able to accompany yourself at voice recitals.
Ooh.
Now,
no more Mr. Jack playing it. And
oh
rocking
yeah,
around the Christmas tree.
You can do a duet. That's right.
Yeah.
He plays the ukulele.
Yeah, we actually did it in the winter.
In the winter
Yeah,
recital,
yeah.
right? And did you do your own choreography for that?
Yes.
That's right.
Me and my brother worked on it. While my dog was hitting him to the ground.
Eating socks?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Well, it was amazing.
Yeah. Thanks.
So when you work on going back and forth between C and G7, I'm just going to take that and it slides back and forth. Now, it doesn't really matter how fast you're able to do this. It's just getting things nice and steady. Because with repetition, then you can develop the speed of it all. So for our last thing for today, what we're going to do is we'll try a couple songs
Okay.
that use C and G7.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Now, I can accompany us on this, and since you already know, I'm assuming,
Yeah.
Skip to My Lou?
Yeah.
All right, cool. We can do a little sing-along, all right?
Okay.
Okay, cool. So here's your C chord.
See right here?
You got it. All right, and we'll go. Lost my partner, what'll I do? Then, yeah. Right there, there, and there.
There.
Yep. Lost my partner, what'll I do? Back to C. Nice job. Lost my partner, what'll I do? Skip to my Lou, my. Back to C.
Oh, okay.
Darling, skip, skip, skip to my Lou. Then bring it back to the G7. There you go. Skip, skip, skip to my Lou. Back to C. Skip,
Skip, my Lou.
G7. Yeah.
So good at this.
Skip to my Lou, my darling. Fantastic, you know?
Thank you.
Some of the other things we get into as we go down the ukulele path, we also start working on learning the melody notes too. So especially for voice students, I think it's wonderful if you can play an instrument too, because that way you can match your voice to the pitch of an instrument.
I have a piano at home that I used to play.
Oh, that's perfect, you know? And if you can just match your voice to that, it really helps out with intonation, and you can learn melodies really fast, too. Like when I started playing, I don't know that I ever wanted to be the singer of the band I was in. It's just we could never find anyone, right? So in order to get something done functionally here, you know, I became the singer, and that's what I would do, is I would, like, play the... And then lost my partner, what'll I do? It gave me something concrete to match. And you know, we got through a lot of fun stuff today. We did the parts, we got some chords, we got some strums. Did you have a good time?
Yeah.
I'm glad, and so glad that you joined me. This has been lovely.
Thank you.
And I think, you know, we're going to see about Zoey continuing with the ukulele.
Depends on what day it is, because I have volleyball, voice, and theater going on.
Well, you're a Renaissance girl, so I can, you know, you got a lot of stuff going on. In any event, thanks everybody for listening. It's been a fun one, and we will see you next week. Bye. Avalon offers dance classes, music lessons, and theater classes 6 days a week. With over 40 teachers, we have something for kids and adults and everyone in between. You can reach the dance and theater department at avalonschoolofthearts.com and the music department at avalonmusicacademyofholland.com. Where dreams begin is in that magical space within. When your heart and your mind and your soul intertwine in wonder, that's where dreams begin.